All right. So, like I mentioned earlier, the session is put together to provide some level of support to veterinarians, first in terms of building capacity to be able to communicate your ideas, whether it's in terms of enterprise or development. And by what I mean that is some of us are probably in business, some of us are in the development space, some of us are in the academia. But one thing I've realized over time is it doesn't matter the space you are, you can clearly communicate what you're doing. You'll be able to unlock the resources that are needed to advance what you do. And I've had the opportunity of, speaking to some people who are deep in the academia, but I'll be able to attract millions and millions of grants in funding, right? So it doesn't matter whether what you're doing is business or not. And that's why I made it very clear that the session is not just saying, oh, you must be a business person before you can make sense of what we're saying here. Once you have an idea worth sharing, let's see how we can be able to give structure to that idea and for you to be able to communicate it to the people that will be interested in bringing resources on the table. Of course, our immediate objective is with respect to those who are eligible to apply for the NVMA collaboration with Pharmalat to provide support for young veterinarians who are enterprise driven. So I would quickly begin by sharing my screen so that I would put up what I have. Oh, okay. If you can see my screen, can you confirm? Hello? Okay, I'm just hearing myself. Can anyone confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so let's begin the conversation. So like I said, the immediate objective is to provide structured support for professionals or veterinary professionals who are eligible for the NVMA partnership with Pharmalat to provide business funding for their enterprises, but the bigger scope really is to be able to give us all who are participating in this session a knowledge base to be able to put structure to our ideas, regardless of whether you are in the academia, whether you are in the development space, or whether you are running a business. And as we move forward, we're even going to be doing more to supporting these different categories because we have seen and identified a lot of gaps that exist. A lot of professionals, especially in the academia, have outstanding ideas, but putting them together to be able to get the attention of the people that will be willing to pay them for their intellectual property, it's missing, and we'll see how we'll be able to close that together. But let's focus on our immediate objective now. So the conversation is going to be around business pitching and business plan writing. So we'll first and foremost begin with the business pitching side of things. So simply, a business pitch is that presentation where you're putting together your idea to speak to people who can be able to translate it into a reality. So when you're talking about a business pitch, you're simply saying, I have something that is worth listening to or worth supporting, and I want to see how you can help me make that happen. So it's an exchange between someone who is in need and potentially someone who will be able to provide or meet that need. That's simply the logic of a business pitch. Now, when it comes to pitching, you can be pitching to investors, who would potentially turn your idea into reality. And case in point, what NVMA is currently now doing with Pharmalat, right? Because potentially there are investors who are willing to say, if you can convince us enough, you'll be one of the people that goes home with the over 2 million naira worth of funding. You also pitch to your customers, So if you are testing a product that you just introduced into the market, we see a lot of these adverts on TV, on radio and sometimes on billboards, where companies are trying to introduce a new product in the market. That process of marketing that product to gain the attention of potential customers is still a category of pitching, right? And then you also pitch to advocates who will support your idea. So this is to people who might not necessarily have the capacity to fund what you're bringing to the table, but can be able to maybe make introductions, introduce you to others who would be interested in what you're doing. So as far as pitching is concerned, potentially you pitch to people who will fund you, people who will buy your product, or people who will be able to make introductions to get others interested in your product or service. So before you begin the conversation around creating a business pitch, right, you must be clear on who you're directing that presentation to. Remember my previous slide talked about 3 categories of people: the people with the money, the people with the money as per investors, the people with the money as per customers, and those who have the power to open doors for you, right? Or even just listen to your idea. So you need to be clear, who am I preparing this presentation for? So you can begin to even think in the context of NBMA and Pharmalat. You know, they fit under the first category, which is the category of investors. So what are the objectives of this pitch? You know, what do you want to achieve? Are you looking to get money? Are you looking to get introductions? Are you looking to get partnership? Are you looking to get validation? The objectives of your pitch are also very, very important, because it's what will close, as far as in business, what we call a call to action. If your objectives are not clear, you cannot make a very concise call to action, and we'll see that as we go. And then, how will this presentation be given? You know, some presentations can be delivered via text. Some you might use a PowerPoint slide. Some you might use a concept note, which is probably a Microsoft one-pager. Some would be a video, just like Famalat is saying, you will need to send a video. Some would be even an audio clip, you know. So there are different formats in which you're going to deliver your idea. So you want to be very, very clear and concise on the approach that you're going to be using to deliver that. So once you understand the format in which you're delivering your objective, there's this popular one where we talk about the elevator pitch, and the common example is if you met, say, an Aliko Dangote or a Zuckerberg or an Otedola in an elevator, right? Depending on how tall the floors are, you know, within 15, 30 seconds or maximum 1 minute, how can you quickly articulate your thoughts and then communicate in a way that makes them say, okay, yes, come by the office on Monday, right? So the format of presentation varies depending on the situation you find yourselves in. And there are some times where it is a planned scenario. By this, like in this scenario, it's planned. You're told the date to start sending, you're told when it's going to close. But you can bump into somebody where you never even anticipated it, but it's an opportunity for you to clearly communicate your ideas. That's why you want to be clear and concise with your idea. If you can communicate it in one sentence, what would it be? You know, so that is something to also keep at the back of your mind. So what then are the different types of pitches that you give in terms of seeking for funding support, right? The first one is the popular elevator pitch. So this is where you are able to put your ideas out there very quickly, right? You have to say it as concise and as fast as possible. It can be as short as 15 seconds. It can be as long as 1 minute, right? So you don't have all of the time to say everything. You are simply mandated with an elevator pitch to talk and nail what your product is about. And Simon Sinek has given us a structure to speak to the why, the how, and the what. Now, let's say you are stuck in an elevator, not stuck, maybe in an elevator with a Dangote going to the 10th floor of a building. So let's say between the ground floor to the 10th floor is, say, about 1 minute, right? So within this time, how can you be able to, and then you have a fair understanding of this, the business piece. Is someone who is playing very big in the fast-moving consumer goods market. It is doing very well in the cement, in the construction industry. He's now disrupting the petrochemical industry now in Nigeria. So if you are playing in any of these spaces and you are caught up in an elevator with him, how can you clearly communicate what you're doing in a way that will interest him? So let's say maybe you figured out a way to be able to build without cement. A Dangote will want to listen to you, because if that idea truly blows up, chances are that it will probably mess up its marketing construction, because you need, as it is now, you need cement to be able to make your building solid, to make your blocks. It's at every component of the building. So imagine you now having a solution that will disrupt that. He will want to listen to you. So in terms of even pitching, you must be pitching to the right audience. If you're speaking to a space where someone is not interested in, or have zero interest about it, there will be no connection. So as far as an elevator pitch is concerned, you want to be as concise as possible and then close with a call to action. And most call to actions of elevator pitches, depending on the structure, are either to, in an unplanned scenario, what you're asking for is not money. What you're asking for is, can I get an opportunity to be able to communicate this to you again? That's like a 15 seconds, 30 seconds pitch, right? There are some where you can even go past 3 minutes. In that case, it may be structured and you're getting the opportunity to speak more to your product and now give a call to action where you're saying, well, you're looking for funding or partnership or, etc., etc. So you want to be very clear. So that's the first type. Then there's the investor pitch, right? This one is clear. You're going to pitch to someone who has the capacity to fund you, right? And the typical example is the one we're even having this conversation about. They have told you how many minutes you're going to go. Of course, we'll still be talking more about that. So you have a structured flow in terms of how your engagements are going to be able to flow. So here, you are mostly going to have your slide deck prepared, or you would have to send in the video that you pre-recorded. Here you sometimes don't have the opportunity to, depending on how much time and the scope that they want you to introduce, you can also get the opportunity to introduce a demo video of some sort, and most times they would say, send your presentation ahead of time. So it's a very structured engagement. There's a back and forth, making requests, you presenting them and all of that. So what we are going to be doing with the Farm Alerts NVMA opportunity is typically what we call an investor pitch, just that this one is going to be delivered via a video format. Okay, then there's the sales pitch. So this is where you're trying to market a product. If you look at it closely, it's somewhat related to the investor pitch, but again, the messaging might vary. So for a sales pitch, you're probably even talking to a major distributor of your product, whom you just brought in, say, a new flavor of it, and you're trying to push it in the market, right? And as far as sales are concerned, you want to appeal to an emotion. You want to be able to figure out the pain points that are currently existing, and then escalate the solution that you are trying to bring. This is also not the time to rubbish another product that is existing in the market. No. So you want to focus on your product and allow the person you're speaking to, without being told, see the gaps that already exist. And again, a call to action as always. So in your sales pitch, most likely, are you saying, come and buy more of my products? Are you saying, I want to sign you off as a major distributor? Whatever that is, a sales pitch must first appeal to emotions. You must be able to connect a clear-cut story. You don't have to fabricate it. You need to be able to find a story that connects to the product that you're trying to put out. And then, if there is validation in terms of people that have already used your product, you want to also share that success story. So you could say 5,000 or 2,000 or 5 people that have used our product so far have been able to achieve. So given that, now already will answer the question, okay, what's already in the market is not doing what you're doing. So that is how you are now able to communicate. And as far as doing a sales pitch is concerned, there are 3 things you would have in mind if you're trying to attract or disrupt the market. 1, you want to ask yourself, that product I'm bringing to the market, or that service I'm bringing to the market, is it relatively cheaper than what is already there? Is it better, or is it unique? By better, is it faster, or is it unique? So you also need to understand that the buying mentality of a customer any day, anytime would always be to say, how can I get more for less? So you want to be clear as far as communicating your sales pitch is concerned to your audience. So how do you now craft your business pitch? of course, there has to be a title, right? So for that page, you simply would be highlighting your company name, your own name as the presenter or whoever is presenting, an address, email address, phone number. It doesn't have to carry all of the 5 components I mentioned, but at least there should be a way to contact you on that first page. Maybe your name and an email will do. Then the next one will be your problem or opportunity. Now, what I advise at this point is, where possible, justify your problem with numbers. Let me give a practical example. Let me give a practical example so that you follow what I'm saying. If you are communicating the challenge, recently the JAM exam was completed, and if we pay attention to some of the things that happened, one of the things that they were saying was the number of people that failed the exam and those that passed, right? Imagine you're trying to communicate the problem that is tied to education, and you're highlighting the challenge of failure of JAMB as an example, and you're putting out statistics. Please, if you're not speaking, kindly mute. You can be able to put those numbers and make a very strong point. So where possible, in communicating your problem, use numbers. Data, numbers, statistics are a very strong way of driving home a point that you're making. Then once you highlight your problem, bring your value proposition. And by value proposition, what Dr. Veronica, can you mute? By communicating your value proposition, you're trying to say that, having identified this problem, this is the solution that I am bringing on the table. That is also very, very important. This is the solution that I'm bringing on the table, and that's your value proposition. So in also closing in on your value proposition, you want to add what we call a unique selling point. Yes, this is what you're doing. You can also now add that layer that speaks to how you're doing it differently. Remember that I spoke to 3 things. Are you doing it cheaper? Are you doing it faster? Or are you doing it differently? That's you, unique. So a good way to say it is, are you a Samsung? Are you a Techno? Or are you an iPhone? Right? Because all of these things while they are all phone companies or phone brands, they are speaking to the market in a very, very unique way. So let's move on. Then we talk about your business model, right? How are you making money? Every single investor or somebody that's going to put money to your business, whether it's even a grant, is interested in knowing how you're going to be able to sustain what you're doing. And that's why charity can never be a sustainable way of solving problems in our world today. So how can you be making money? Are you trying to serve another business? Are you serving a customer? How are you generating money? Is it through product sales? Is it through subscriptions? Is it through advertisements? You need to communicate your business model very clearly. Then your market plan, right? How are you going to get to the audience? Are you doing it online, offline, or a mix of both? Then your competitive analysis. This links back to the point where you're talking about your unique selling point. Some presentations depend, and again, all of the things I'm listing here, you see that it comes down to 10 slides, which is usually the standard format for an investor pitch. There are some that will tell you, I just want 5 slides. There are some that will tell you even up to 15. So it all depends on whichever they are asking you for, right? So then you talk about your team. They will tell us in business that every single business endeavor at an early stage that gets investment is not necessarily in the business, it's in the people behind the business. So someone that is backing you with money is interested to know who is behind you. What's the team like? It doesn't have to be all sorted out from day one, but they want to see that potential for growth. So maybe at that time, there are 2 of you or 3 of you, communicate it. Then your financial projections. If this money is given to you, how can you be able to grow the money, right? So standard projections are usually for 3 years. So they want to see in the next 3 years, what can happen. So if they are now putting money or backing you with these resources, you should be able to show how the journey is going to be. And then finally, your acts. Remember, I said you must have a call to action in every single pitch. So here we're saying that if the money is given to you, what will happen? So if you're giving 1 million or 2 million, what will now happen to that idea? What will now happen to that business? So don't just say, well, I need 1 million naira to buy XYZ. Have the input side of things, which is the 1 million naira or the 2 million naira, and then the output. What would that translate to? Will it translate to more customers, more sales, more visibility? Every single request you're making should be tied to a very tangible outcome, because that will be easy to measure. Of course, the impact is a tricky thing to measure, but at least the input, output, outcome are usually more easier to measure. So this is basically the outlook of how your business pitch should go. So before I quickly dive into walking us through how your business plan would be, I would want to pause to know if there are any questions. So do I have any questions? Yeah, but do I have any questions in the chat section, or is anyone raising his or her hand before we move past the conversation around business pitch? So once we talk about the business plan, I will now come back and project the screen so that we'll walk through precisely on how the NVMA Farm Alert collaboration is going to be as far as it concerns you. So, yeah, but any question for me in the chat?
Hello, sir. None so far, and no hands is up.
Okay, all right, thank you. So please, if you have a question, do not hesitate to raise your hand or use the chat section, and I'll be called to it. So let's quickly move to the conversation on the business plan. It's also another very short one. So a business plan is a more detailed document. So you can extract a business pitch from a business plan. So it's simply itemizing your company's goals and how you intend to achieve them. And if you look at how a business pitch is too, it's a subset of what I just said, right? So you need to be able to now look at the business plan as an expanded document of a business pitch and more. So what are then the components that the business plan should carry? All business plans would start with an executive summary. And an executive summary is simply speaking to your why, what, how, and your need. While this is the first document that anybody stumbles on a business plan, it's written last. And the reason is because you write an executive summary from the pieces that you extract from all the components of your document, from the vision, mission, business plan, business description, to market analysis, down to financials. It's what you frame into an executive summary. So is that one pager or maximum 2 pages that speaks to the entire document in a very concise way? So if the person you're speaking to is a very busy person, ensure that your executive summary is able to capture the reality of what the extended document is going to be carrying. So your vision is more or less the second thing, and is speaking to where you think you're taking your business or your company to. If we all remember the famous "I Have a Dream" message by Martin Luther King Jr., right? That is a classical example of what a vision is. He never lived to see it, but that reality is today. So a vision might not necessarily be attained by you. You probably might not ever achieve it, but it's more like a North Star. So it's like something that is guiding you to say, this is where we want to go, right? Then your mission is a more practical approach to say, this is how we are going to achieve our why. So your vision is your why. Your mission is how. So this is what you're doing. This is how you're doing it. All of that is what is detailed in your vision, in your mission. Now, sometimes you might be saying, okay, how many missions can I have? The standard is, if you can condense your mission into one sentence, makes sense. But if you can't, you shouldn't break it beyond 3 or 5. In fact, the gold standard is leave it at 3, because that way it's more easier to narrow down and focus on what really, really matters. Then your business and company description is your opportunity to speak to the overall scope of your business activity. You're trying to say that as a business, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I do it. That's what your company description is about. Then you go to talk about your products and services. Here you're simply listing out the value you offer. Whether you sell products, whether you offer services, you want to highlight it clearly under this section. Then the market analysis. So here you're trying to do a deep dive of the situation of the market you're playing in. So if you are playing in the livestock sector, some of the things you want to talk about here is how much is the livestock sector valued? Let's say you're playing in the Nigerian market. How much is it valued in the Nigerian market, right? You're trying to speak to the section of the market you're trying to capture. So it's under market analysis that we talk about things like total accessible market, total available market, serviceable obtainable market. These are all technical terms in the space, but just to explain, your total market size is like potentially the value of what you're doing at a global scale, right? And then your serviceable achievable market, which is called SAM, is like within the scope of the geographical region you're playing in. And let me give an example. Let's talk about the livestock sector again. Livestock sector, what is it valued at a global stage? Now, that's your total market size, right? Potentially. If we narrow down to your serviceable, achievable market, right? Is now saying in Nigeria, what is the livestock sector valued at? Now, we'll now come down to what we call the serviceable, obtainable market. Let's say you're playing in Ibadan or Benue State or FCT. What is the livestock sector valued there? Because that is where you're focusing your energy at. So what is more practical for you should be your serviceable, obtainable market, because that is where the focus is. The rest, from the serviceable, achievable to the total accessible, is simply giving a scope of how large the market is along with the potentials that come with it. Then you talk about your marketing plan and strategy. So your marketing plan is simply everything you're doing to ensure that people know about what you are doing and who you are. So whether it's from the social media engagements to offline marketing strategies to one-on-one, it's getting you to the next stage, which is a sales plan. Sales plan is how are people going to buy from you? Are they buying through your website? Are they accessing you through an open store? That is what your sales plan is. How do they transact? Are they doing through bank transfers? Are they doing through POS or whichever strategy you're using? That is what your sales plan is. Then we go to your management and organization description. So here you're trying to communicate your approach to your organizational leadership to say that, do you have a board? Do you have a CEO? Do you have a co-founder? Do you have a management team? How many staff do you have? What does it take to look at your business as far as your organization is concerned from top to bottom? Do you run a hierarchical leadership structure or a flat one? One is that one instruction will pass to another, to another, to another. The other one is everyone can have access to the leader, right? Then you talk about your operating plan, or what we call an operations plan. And this simply means, how does your business daily activity look like? So on a normal day, on a Monday morning, how does your business operate from start to finish? That is what an operations plan means. So if you run a processing plant, for instance, where does your operation start? Is it from the point of going to buy birds to come and start processing and packaging and freezing? Or it's from the point of when you mobilize farmers as a way of leveraging backward integration, which is like going to mobilize farmers to produce what you want and then you come and buy from them. So your operations plan is trying to communicate your business activities from end to end. Then talk about your financial plans and projections, right? So here, there are 3 things that you must pay attention to, or 4. Your startup cost. By startup cost, you're saying that this is how much money I need. So let's say you're supposed to submit a business plan to NVMA and Farmalert now. You have to write your startup cost to say that this is how much money I need and this is how I'll spend it. You now talk about another one, which is your sales or your revenue plan, right? Which should talk with respect to projections, especially when you have not started. So you can call it your revenue projections. How are you going to make money? You have to list it and clearly project. The standard is 3 years. You can do for 5 years.
Drop the price. No?
Some you can even do for 10 years, right? It all depends on how long you want the process to be. Are you still seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. So then the third one, I've talked about your startup cost. I've talked about your revenue projections, then your profit and loss statement. So here you're trying to check your revenue versus how much money are you making, and are you making a profit or not? By the time you add your profits, the layer, so we're on the financial plans and projections. If you can see my screen. All right, it's live now. So basically what we're doing here is, like I said, four things. You're communicating to how much money you need. You're communicating to how you're going to make money. That's your revenue projections. You're communicating to your profit and loss projections in terms of how you're making money and how you're also going to lose, well, I won't say lose money, but how you're going to spend money. So at the end of the day, when you do the check and balance, the difference between the two, if you're in positive, it means that you're profitable. If not, you're losing money. Now, but the tricky part is you might be losing money in the first year, but if you run the projection, that's why you don't want to do just 1 year. At least 2-3 years, some of you might now say, okay, I'm breaking even and all. So there has to also be an exit plan. By exit plan, are you looking to sell your business? Are you looking to merge with others? Are you looking to pivot to another space? You want to be clear on that too. Then do you have exhibits or appendices you want to share? Maybe your CAC registration or an IP that you have that you want to attach to it. That's what you do in that section. So this is where I would stop as far as this presentation goes, and I'll quickly speak to the information that we have available with respect to how you can. So let me stop sharing my screen, then come back again to. So this is now me trying to communicate. Yeah, this. All right. So this should come up shortly. This is with respect to the call that Pharmalab put out. Like I said, it's a partnership with the NVMA in collaboration with Pharmalab. So let's go straight to some context, right? What are you getting out of this for those who are eligible? And I will go to eligibility very soon. You're getting a grant of ₦1 million, and then they are also going to give you ₦1 million worth of product loan. So thank God we have Dr. Femi here who will also speak more to how that is going to work. What is coming out in terms of what's the interest rate, what's the repayment plan, what's the moratorium, right? Then you're going to get mentorship and monitoring. So beyond just getting the money, the plan is to ensure that you spend it as documented and the value is gotten. Then capacity building in terms of ensuring that you go through experiences like this to ensure that you are successful beyond just this, if you're beyond accessing this financing. So these are the objectives, but I want to go just to the eligibility. So we found that this was a bit confusing. But what this means is that if you are, like it says plainly, if you're up to 5 years post-graduation, right, you are eligible. So 5 years post-graduation counts from, I think, somewhere around 2019 or in 2024. So if you graduate from 2019 forward, you are eligible to apply for this. But of course, when Dr. Femi comes up, he can, speak to that or otherwise. Then, with respect to the application process, you're going to be putting in a 5 to 10 minutes video, which will outline your proposed business practice model, the target market, and the projected growth. Now, if you pay attention to everything that we have done, all right. So as far as the application goes, these are the three focus areas that they are interested in hearing you speak to. In a broader sense, we'll still come to that. Your practice model, target market, and projected growth. So if you still remember everything we said, it fits very cleanly into this. Then once you send this in, the NVMA and Farmalabs will jointly have a team that will review this, and then the top 10 would be selected. And this is going to run for over 3 years. So this is basically the flow of it, right? It's even broken down in a way that it makes the journey really easy. So your introduction should capture 30 to 60 seconds. Remember what we said about the elevator pitch, right? So here you state your name clearly, the school, year of graduation, and then your VCN number. So probably we'll want to ask those that graduated some months or over a few months ago that are yet to have the VCN, are they eligible? I think it would be important to clarify that too. Then you should now express how excited you are about applying for this opportunity. Then why are you interested and motivated? So the second layer is talking about the problem you're seeing. Remember, if you can justify with numbers, the better. Then what's the personal connection? Do you have a personal story that relates to this that you can connect? And then how can you connect it to the focal point of this program? Every program has an objective. This is meant to empower young veterinarians in terms of helping provide more qualitative animal care. How does that connect to it? Then the market you're serving. Who is your target market? Which state are you operating in? Which local government? Be more specific. And then what is the challenge you're addressing in that location? Is it a challenge of inputs or personnel? Speak to that need very clearly. Remember, the funds are very limited, so you want to sound as concise as possible. Then what services are you looking to fill in? That is also another thing you want to speak very clearly to, in terms of what is already lacking and what are you going to do differently. Remember your unique selling point. Are you cheaper? Are you faster? Or are you unique? You want to speak to one or more of these angles. Then what makes you really suited? It still feeds into what I just said now. And again, if you have the data to validate anything here, you want to be able to do that. Then call to action. How are you now going to use this money? Remember, beyond just saying, let's say you want to rent space or buy equipment, what would that translate to? What would that translate to? That part is very, very important. And then explain why you should be choosing. Remember, it's limited, 10 people. Imagine the number of vets that will apply for this, who are eligible. Even though the number is even narrowed to a particular category, you want to still be able to compete very favorably. So it's in speaking to these basics that will give you that edge. Then the next is your projected growth. So you got this money. What are you thinking will happen in the next 1, 2, 3 years? It should be measurable, and your objectives should be what we call SMART objectives. It should be specific. It should be measurable. It should be, very actionable in a way that is action oriented. It should be relatable, and it should be time bound. Very, very clear. Don't say something that would sound too bogus, right? Time, everything that is not tied to time is not smart. So you want to be able to say that, and it should be easy to measure. Then remember, your closing lines are important. Simon Sinek will say, start with the end in mind. Here you want to still remind them who are going to be reviewing why you're doing this, and then enter your information if you feel it's relevant, and remind them why you are the best person to be supported for this. These are the details in terms of how you're going to submit and push out your content. This is like best practices. Ensure that you're doing this in a comfortable place. Let there be proper lighting. Have a good background. Stay away from where there's a lot of noise. And before submitting, at least get 1 or 2 feedback. And for me, I'll be happy to review a couple of videos that will be sent my way. So you can definitely reach out if you would need that assistance. So this is basically there for the timelines. The applications has opened and is going to run till May 27th. So we'll have about 2+ weeks or so. Then review will be between 28th May to June 10th. Those shortlisted will be on June 13th, and then the award will be on June 18th. So these are basically the timelines. So basically, this is entirely how this goes. So all of what you have heard me say about the journey and how you can be able to leverage it is what you should now embrace and apply to making the most of this opportunity. So I have walked through this. I think I would now be open for questions. So if there are questions, I don't know if we're going to just use the chat where you type out your questions there. And probably I would now, since I've spoken to what this program is, we'll have Dr. Femi on ground too. So I would probably transfer the rights to him so that he can be able to, okay, I'll ask him to unmute so that he can be able to speak more to, in case I missed anything before we take questions. So if you have a question, you can just indicate by raise of hand, and then I would ask you to unmute. Yes, Dr. Femi, I think I'm asking you to unmute. Let me know if it's appearing from where you are.
Okay. Yes, Doc. So just give me, if you can give me 2 minutes, let me set up.
Okay.
So that I can talk better. Just 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. So let me then come back to Dr. Henry. All right, Dr. Henry, you can.
Okay. Thank you very much, Femi. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, Doc. Can hear you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure to join today. I'm always looking out for opportunities like this, even though I'm not an active practitioner of veterinary medicine and surgery at the moment, but I always try to keep my knowledge and skills up to date because I look forward to maybe retiring from what I do now and then practice at that time. That would be when I'm be close to 65, when you should most there to be thinking of retiring. That's when I'm thinking of practicing. It seems like how do I put it now? Very funny. But why am I saying this? You know, while I was in vet school in Ahmadu Bello University, I was one of the outstanding students. And at the conclusion, I'm going somewhere, I'm building up somewhere. So just give me some patience. At the end of my training, you know, in the final year, I was the president of the Association of Veterinary Medical Students. And in that year, First Bank organized an essay that talked about globalization and the future of financial services industry in Nigeria. That was in 2001. There was no ATM then, there was no POS and all that. That was what we were predicting. And I came 6th place over 1,000 entries. They even offered me a job in First Bank, but that wasn't where I wasn't keen in becoming a finance major. So maybe I would have been in the likes of Dr. Oduton, who is heading First Bank, but that wasn't my line of it. I wanted to be an academician, but do you know the same school that gave me a letter of commendation for that my performance while I was still a president? I ran in for that essay and I came 6th place over 1,000 entries. The same school, everywhere I turned to, they rejected me. So we need to teach people how to handle rejection, much more than positive things. Beyond that, I've attempted to, you know, to do so many things before I am where I am now. And I was turned down. So I handled the rejection by, you know, being persistent. I was resilient and persistent. And eventually I got a breakthrough in occupational health and safety practice, which is what I've been doing now for over 22 years. And it's paid off a great deal. So beside all these that you have mentioned, there will be times of rejection. You go here, they say, no, we can't help you. You go here, they say, no. How do you train people to manage rejection properly? That's where I want to drop my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You said something very vital, Doc, and I agree because, I mean, a typical example is what is in front of us, where we are going to have only 10 persons selected out of a pool that will come, and we have to deal with this on a daily basis. Some will get so close and not get selected. But that resilience, I believe it's something that we need to all embrace to help us manage this, to realize that sometimes it's that persistence that continuously, and for every rejection, there's a lesson to be learned. So I believe that reminder is timely to say that even when we apply, not everyone will be picked, but even though we are not picked, we should just use this opportunity to say, okay, what can I do better and differently to be able to scale that process? So thank you, sir. Okay, Dr. Femi, I would ask you again to see if you're ready, since I can't see any other hand up. So if the chat section is also open, if you have a question there, please go ahead and ask. Okay, asking you now.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Doc, and well done. Great job and great initiative. And it's because of your initiative, that's why you're where you are. Thank you for thinking about helping every one of us to better understand what was launched between Parmalat and MVMA. So a quick story. I will not take beyond 5 minutes, and then I can entertain more questions if there are questions. I gave a story when we were launching this program that when I wanted to eventually start practice, a senior colleague of mine, Dr. Mike, blessed memory now, called me and said that since I want to needed to stock up all my inventory. In fact, I only had the shop money, that was 200,000 then. He said I should come and pick 5 pieces of each of his drugs when I sell. I did that for 6 months until I'm able to raise my own capital. And thankfully, look at where we are today. So with a little support, it's easier to kill a seed at the beginning. Much more difficult when it is grown into a tree. So the best of support should be given at the beginning. And that's why this program is set towards nurturing seeds. I know quite a handful of people confuse the idea up to 5 years. So what we are looking at is 0 to 5. As long as you're a graduate, you are taking the oath. Even if you're serving, you're also qualified. So from 0 to 5. So who are we going to say no to if you're 6? As long as you're 5 years, 64 days, you are still eligible. Up until that point where we give the award, so you can apply. Then the second thing I want people to pay attention to, so I will tell you who I will be looking out for. I know Dr. Shedrack has gone through the entire pitch, what is required. But we are looking at people who genuinely want to enhance animal health. There are people who want money, right? We don't want people who want the money. We want people who want to help their community and extend animal health. We thought about, should you write? Then we realized that people can help people write. So you don't really even know what you're submitting. We talked about several ways of finding how to pick people. And the easiest way is for you to talk. Nobody can eat for you. Nobody should talk for you. We will help making the presentation. And the reason is simple. We want to see if you truly care about the community you want to serve. So almost nobody will reject. If you give me this 1 million now, I will collect. If farmer gives me this 1 million now, my hands are open. I will collect the money. If farmer gives me more opportunities to progress, I will. So everybody wants the opportunity, but it's not everybody that cares. And that's going to be one of the fundamental things that we're going to be looking out for. Another thing we're going to be looking out for is whose impact will be felt more. Right. So if you want the money and then you fall within the age range, and then you are in Asokoro or Meitama in Abuja, or you are in Lekki, right? There are 2 issues you're going to quickly encounter. First of all, the 1 million, you cannot pay 1 or Lekki. Your rents will probably be running in the millions. So it's already a no. So we are also looking at the area, the community in which you're serving. There are communities that 1 million can really transform those communities. Rent in those places might not be up to 300, 400,000. Am I correct? Are there places where rents are not up to that? But the impact, the livestock community in those places or the pet community in those places really needs a doctor. The reason why I even opted to serve, because when I finished school, I thought I wasn't going to practice veterinary medicine. I just wanted to run businesses. That had been my desire. So I was working in a business consulting firm, and then one of those days, my boss called me and said that a woman said her birds, his friend, that her birds are dying. And then, you said you studied veterinary medicine. I said, yes. He said, I should go and check the farm. I went to the farm. I knew what the problem was. Prescribed drug. 3 days mortality went so low. And then people started calling me here and there. And then that was when I said, let me start up a practice. So there are communities. their communities, your home communities, your villages, or outside the town that really needs. Veterinarians are superstars. It's just that all of us wants to be big men at a go. So we're looking out for people who the community needs. Somebody sent me a picture on LinkedIn, and it was like an abandoned veterinary clinic. He sent me the shelf, he sent me almost everything. And I felt like, so why are you people, they are not farmers, they are farmers. They said they lack support. So we are looking at for those stories where $1 million will make a difference to help you repaint the clinic, put your own signboard, it's your own name, where $1 million can help you buy a chair or buy a table or even set up or even pay the rents. So we're looking out for those people. And I think finally, what are the set of people we're looking out for? There are people who have the tenacity to go over challenges, right? Because if you're going to start up your business or start up something, you're going to face issues. I face one of the most, I tell my people sometimes when they come to me to ask for advice, I say, this problem that you are facing, I'm facing 10 times that problem. But you see, you cannot, as a businessman, wear your problem on your face. So you can get the funds, 2-3 years down the line, you will just report back to us that it's not working. And see, people who give up, it's not because they are not human. They are humans. It's just that for you to be a step ahead of almost everybody, the Dr. Henry, and by the way, Dr. Henry is a senior colleague. We finished from the same school. I knew him right from the days in school, and then he was one of those top leaders that we're all looking out for. And thank you for joining this meeting. But he mentioned tenacity. We are also looking out for, will you give up soon? There are some people, if fly perch on them, they have malaria, and that's it. 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, they will not come to work. Right. And of course, if you don't show up, then the essence of this whole funding thing will be off. Are you resistant? Can you go through the rigor of, we're not expecting you to carry the entire world like Dangote. No, we're not expecting you, but we're expecting you to at least be where you said you are. And then even if it is 1 cattle you treat or 1 pet you treat in those community per day and it's consistent, with time you will grow over all those things. So I think those are the few things I will be looking out for. I'm not going to be the only judge judging every video that comes in, but that's going to be the few things I will be looking out for. So you're hearing directly from a judge, what will I be looking out for? And then of course, at the end of the day, we want to wish everyone who apply, I encourage everybody to apply, the very best. And we are hoping, and I'm talking now as a CEO of Farmer, that we can, through this funding, at least expand access to animal health the best possible. And maybe finally, on a final note, the product loan is coming at no interest. You're just buying from any of our distribution centers, and we can up it. It depends on the engagement. So you do 1 million and then you're able to quickly solve if it's drugs, sometimes it's dewormer, sometimes depending. We are open. We offer almost all range from pets to livestock, and we're opening in Kano to be able to service the entire north properly. By next week, Kano should be up and running. So if we give you 1 million and then in 2-3 weeks you're able to pay 500,000 back, we can give you the drugs. Once we find that you're reliable, we can give up to 5 to 10 million for you to be able to serve your communities. And well, of course, for us, that is also a very good incentive for business, because the more we're able to give livestock farmers or pet owners access to some of these inputs that could help them, the more our own mission too goes forward. So thank you, Dr. Shedrack. And I think if there's any question, I'm also open to answering all the questions. All right. Okay, Praise is now the host. So you have the power to make, I'm not sure if, I think Dr. Shedrack went out. Dr. Praise Akowo, she's one of our outliers in Makurdi, I guess. All right, good. All right, Dr. Shedrack, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. And thank you so much for those really strong words. So first and foremost, for those of us that are eligible, and Doc, there's a tricky question I probably will ask back, and we're looking forward to seeing more questions come through. But say I see that we have a lot of senior colleagues on the call, but if you have younger colleagues in some sort of partnership where they are at the C-level, they fit in the category. So by C-level, now I even mean they probably have a stake in the organization. Are they going to be eligible to apply, even if you as the older one is not eligible? How does that apply to?
No, I'm not getting that quick question. Can you ask again?
Okay, can you hear me now, Doc?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, let me use Pharmalat as an example. So let's say Pharmalat with you obviously knocked out as post 5 years graduation. Let's say you have another younger vet who fits in the category of 0 to 5 years and is at a management level, say a co-founder or a managing partner that has a stake also in the business. Would that kind of business be able to, would that person be eligible to apply under that business?
All right. So the person can apply. Once the person can apply, actually. But as I said, if the person is within that 0 to 5, and then the person is part of the owner of the existing business, which we will also love to verify, and then the person meets the other criteria, yes, we'll be able to do it.
Okay, so there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
Let me read it from Dr. Praise, and it says, can one collaborate with another veterinarian, like making an application as a consortium while one person makes the application? Doc, is that clear?
Yes, so that's also possible.
Okay.
That also, but the person leading, so we are going to we are investing in the person and in the idea. So if it's a consortium, you have to put your best foot first, because it's the person we're seeing on the screen. And if all of you want to together make the application, why not? We're also very interested in it.
Okay. Okay. I can't see any other question in the chat. I can't see any other hand up either. So if we have questions, now is the time to ask. Okay, so Praise has her hand up. So I'm going to ask you to unmute now, Praise. Yes, Dr. Praise. All right.
Yes, sir. I actually dropped the question before now. I was trying to ask if one who probably, you're not towing the line of a business specifically, more like a social enterprise, can you still sort of apply and still fit into the criteria of the videos and all of that?
Yes, so why not?
Get it. Okay.
Why not?
All right.
Yes.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All right. So there's another one from Dr. Abiodun who says, is it limited to vet product entrepreneurs or clinicians also?
Both.
Okay, both.
Both.
Right.
So if you're a clinician, you don't have to have products. So those product loans could be injectables that you use. But if you give you those injectables, then you probably have to, once you use them, you have to return the capital.
All right. Okay. I can't see any other question. Dr. Henry, is your hand still up as per a new one, or let me asking you to unmute so you can probably answer for yourself. Okay, yes, new one. Okay, yes, I'm asking you to unmute now, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I'm not trying to flog a dead horse to come back to life, but I don't know, Dr. Femi, you are very close to the VCN, right?
So I really don't understand what you mean by very close to the VCN.
You do a partnership with the VCN. That's what I'm saying. I don't mean in terms of structured or organizational setup. I'm talking in terms of influence.
Okay, maybe your question will better make me understand. What's your question?
I hope that things are changing now, because in my time after leaving school, it was devastating. Are you aware of Professor Clara Fumi Amode? You know her? She's a professor now.
Her. Yes, I know her.
You know her, right?
Yes, I know her.
Okay, good. I and her were on the same master's level program in 2005 when she applied to be a lecturer in parasitology. She was rejected. I applied in public health. I was rejected. I left. I didn't have any other alternative. She left because she was recommended by Professor Umo to Abeokuta, and they took her there. Now she's a professor. Actually, most of my mates are now professors, the ones that are in academia, like Professor Sinkalu Victor. You know him, Abi?
Yes, I know him. Yes.
So I don't think I'm speaking out of place if I say that I should be a professor by now. If I were in the academia, if I'd been accepted into academia. What I'm saying is that those who failed and carried over, we are saying God is compensating them for being absorbed in place of us. I can name names, but I don't want to do that. They told us then, you can imagine the psychological trauma we had to go through for them to be absorbed after repeating vet classes several times and then graduating and getting employment we should have been given. So me, I'm saying in your own case now, I just hope there's merit involved. And if you are rejecting anybody, please be kind enough to send them a note and a reason why you rejected them and encouraging them that they can try again next time. That's my last point. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that feedback. So I think what I will need to just note is your last comment. If we're rejecting people, we should let them know why we're rejecting them in a very kind manner. I'm not sure if we had that planned because a few videos are started coming in, and I wish I could share those videos. You will just, some videos are well thought out. Some videos you will not want to watch it again. But again, I will take that feedback back to the committee and ensure that at least we let everybody know why we rejected them and that they should try better.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'm going to unmute Dr. Aminu and then Dr. Victor Ayua. So Dr. Aminu, I'm asking you to unmute now.
Good morning, sir. And good morning, Dr. Pem and Dr. Shedarak. Good morning. And all my senior colleagues. I don't know whether if you can hear me.
Yes, go ahead, Doctor. Good to have you.
Yes. So my question is it was based on your last response on the last person that asked the question about whether the grants may be given direct to a person that is whether a person is a clinician or a entrepreneur. So with respect to myself, I'm little bit a person that is a clinician and also a business person. So that means the product that Farmalat, if I am succeed, the product that Farmalat will give me, I will use it into my clinical practice. Well, the grants will be invested in the shop. Is it possible for somebody like me to have the two, despite the fact that I'm also a clinician and a entrepreneur? Because I heard you say if you're a clinician, you don't need the product.
So the grant is $1 million. The product loan is $1 million also. If you don't need up to $1 million product loan, why not? We're very open to it. Let's say you need just 100,000 to buy some of those your consumables. Why not? We're open to it. But it's just that you cannot ask above $1 million for the product loan, at least for the initial stage. And it doesn't really matter whether you're a clinician or you're an entrepreneur. I think what will matter is how much impact are you going to make? And I want people to focus on impact, because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to look at. There are two criteria that will matter to us at the end of the day. First of all, are we able to create something stable for a young vet? That's very important. So is our help, does it matter to that young vet? The second thing is, how much can helping this person help us help the industry? So we're looking at impact. So we're looking at you Are you better off with it? Then secondly, is your community or the people you serve, because we're not paying you. We are enabling you to be able to enable easy access to affordable animal health care, either as a clinician or as an entrepreneur. It doesn't really matter. So once your story are around that, then it's easy for your videos to quickly draw the attention of some of us who will be on the panel.
All right. Thank you so much for the response. Let me go. Dr. Victor?
Okay. Good morning, all. Yes, I want to thank Dr. Shadrach and Dr. Femi and everybody on the platform. I wanted to ask, what is the mode of pitching? Are you just going to have a video of yourself speaking, or you're going to have maybe you are going to speak to a slideshow, some slides where you'll be, they'll be flipping it and all of that? What exactly are we expected to do in that regard?
So I won't throw back the question to you, that it's open to your creativity. You have 5 to 10 minutes. And you see, I see people, usually when offers like this are open and then they tell you to do 10 minutes video, right? What is unspoken is that you have, especially if they are not clear whether you should use slide or you should come this way, you have like an unlimited bandwidth to be creative. What you want to do is to capture the attention of people, or the people who will watch. Don't forget, there will be several videos to watch. Some people, when you just start their video, you will just know they will not get it. Some people, when you start their video, you will want to watch it again. Make yours memorable. It's open. If you want to use a slide, as long as your face comes out of it. Sometimes, like I enrolled in an FI Founders Institute in Berlin, Germany, and then they tell us to make videos. And my lights are up, my slides are up. I ensure that I share the screen in such a way that half of the slide is my face, half of it is the slides. So it comes out very clear. And I graduated the best among a class that started with 60. And I think we're 2 Africans there. So you are open to how creative you are, but ensure it's engaging. Once it's engaging and it sells the idea the appropriate way, then why not? Your video will be considered. So it's all open to how convincing you want to be. You want to use a slide, you want to use a slide, you want to use picture, you want to produce. It's all up to you and how well you can dance around the submission of the video.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doc, for expatiating on that. So there's a question again in the chat that says from Dr. Swen, someone who is working on a new product that will serve to improve animal health, say pet product, is such a person eligible?
Why not? So, see, look at it. We didn't straitjacket anybody. We want you, 1, to be a vet, 2, to be a young vet under the age of 5 years post-graduation, and we want you to care about the community you're serving. Like, see, the criteria are not really that bogus. So you have a new product and then you think that this product will help the pet industry. Why not sell it to us? Sell it to us. At the end of the day, there are panels of judges who will make up their mind. Who can we believe? The second thing, who will have the most impact? That's it. Those are just the general criteria. There are other smaller criteria, but those are the biggest criteria. So if you can, and guess what? You can say the same thing in a way that looks selfish, and another person will pick up that same story and make it look like without this product, the world will collapse the next day. It's all storytelling. So if you're saying it in such a way that okay, so first of all, you can tick the first one that, okay, it's going to help you. But if you cannot tick the second one, how it will help the community and you make it all about you, then there will be a problem, because we don't want to support you in a way that it will also not impact on the animal health community or the livestock or pet owner community. We want to see that impact, because part of it in our budget in Parmalat is put under impact initiative. So the heading of that budget is very clear, it's impact. So we want to see that young people have something to do and feel supported. The second thing, we want to see how far can we stretch this one support to ensure that our mission of enabling easy access to affordable animal health care also suffice. So paint your story. Don't make it too selfish. Be confident so that we know that this person, once he gets it, this person will get it through. But more importantly, you have to focus on the aftermath of what it is that you want to do.
Okay. Thank you. So there's another one from Praise. Lastly, sir, I am not sure I saw anything in that line. Is there anything with respect to age bracket? So
okay, yeah. Age bracket, I mean post-graduation. So whether you are 80, but you just finished vet school,
right,
and you're between 0 to 5, yes, why not? So it's not really age, is in post your time after school.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let me see. No other question in the chat. I know we were scheduled for 2 hours, but there's no one saying that we can't end earlier than that. If not for the unfortunate incidents that happened and lesson well learned, we'll clean up the recording, cut away the unfortunate incidents that happened before. We'll now make it available for those who missed out to be able to watch, and then at least gain insights on how they are going to also proceed. So I don't see any other questions. So before I probably request Dr. Femi to give some final words so that we'll call it a day. I want to thank you all so much again for joining. I believe the veterinary profession is ours to build, and in whatever capacity we can. While Vet Connect is not the one, writing the checks, we're trying to do our best to see how can we ensure that those who are going to be pitching in are pitching in the right way. So we thank NVMA for this wonderful collaboration. Our dear President, Dr. Moses Orokoye, has demonstrated tremendous leadership, and we know that there's a lot more coming in the pipeline for the veterinary community. So thank you to Dr. Femi for jumping on this opportunity to help us grow as a profession. So I would want to ask if there are any final words from you before we bring the session to an end.
Say in closing might probably be just off the application. The last meeting I attended, the student hosted the president of NVMA, and a student raised a concern and had a question for NVMA that they feel they are not being carried along, right? The reason why I was careful in answering Dr. Henry when he said that I'm very close to the veterinary council. I know the veterinary community very, very well. I've served in NVMA. I've also served in. I'm serving presently as a member of the veterinary council board, so I know. And at the end of all this whole service and my experience, there's just one message I have to all young vets, right? Be the change you want to see. The person who was asking the question wanted the leadership to do more things, right? Sometimes you will not be able to count on the leadership. It's too much for you to control, but you can count on yourself, right? So Parmalat got a few fundings here and there, and we carved out this 60 million naira budget to help the veterinary community. So I was talking with a senior colleague today. I said, if every one of us do the best we can in our corner, Dr. Shedrack, right, is putting together this. If every one of us, right, start pointing fingers to what will I demand of myself that will move the veterinary profession forward, we will move faster. than complaining about fishes that cannot bend anymore. I'm not in any way talking down on leadership. I'm just saying that we've complained up to this time now. If nothing major has changed, then we should shift and start demanding of ourselves responsibility. And that's the only way it can change. Right now, once people start complaining about leadership, this is not doing that, I leave that conversation. And if I'm given the opportunity to talk, I will ask them, see, all these complaints is giving other people too much power for something you cannot control. And it's something you cannot control. How another person lives his or her life. It's not something, if somebody embezzled all the money that the veterinary profession is supposed to have, it's not under your control. You can only complain. But what's under your control? That you grow in your ability to be able to lead, and actually lead, and be the CVOL, and be the VCN president, and be that person that will cause change. And that way, it's easy to demand responsibility from yourself than and it's more effective than pointing fingers at others. So whatever it is, please, when you go and write this grant, go into that community, take charge, be the change. We are all looking up to you. I'm also telling my people, see, in our spheres, let's make the best difference we can make. And then very soon, Dr. Shedrack will be the senior colleague everybody will be pointing to. I will also soon be one of those senior colleagues everybody is pointing to. And if you see how bitter young people complain, if you see, so I tell the people around me, I say one day they will soon become very bitter about you. Like very bitter about you. The way you are bitter about all these leaders, right? You are gradually becoming them if you don't do anything now. So your time will come. With Dr. Praise, you are just graduating. Give it another 20 years, everybody will be pointing bitter finger against you. But if you start today and know that the change we want in the veterinary profession starts from you, starts from me, and we let them leave. Or any leader that hasn't done anything, that has rejected you, let them, their own time will come and pass. Our own time will come, but we have to ensure that our own time comes with a difference, knowing that we can all work together and make this profession very proud. Thank you, Dr. Shedrack, for the opportunity. And then all the best, everyone. I look forward to having your applications.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. Thank you so much, dear colleagues, for making the time to be part of this very enlightening session. Like I said, we'll clean up the recording and then we'll put it up so that more persons will be able to catch up on. Thank you so much for joining, and we wish you all a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye, and it's over from us now. Have a good day.